All right, everybody. Shalom. This is Yishai Fleisher here, and it is a pleasure to be with you both on YouTube and my Facebook. And today, hi everybody. I am joined by a lot of people from all over the world, but especially from the United States, where we're doing. I was asked to do a little special of taking people around Hebron, a little tour of Hebron. On this beautiful Lag BaOmer, very hot day here in the land of Israel, very special day here in the land of Israel. But at the same time, a little bit of a sad day because it was started today with a bit of a horrible news, and that is that one of the amazing Israeli soldiers from a very special unit, Special Forces unit, his name was Amit Ben Yigal, was killed today in action close to Jenin. And so today our show is going to be dedicated to him, or at least this program. And I was asked by a school in the United States to give a little tour of Hebron. So we're going to do a virtual tour since so many of us are still stuck at home due to the COVID virus. And so it's my pleasure to take you to one of my favorite places in the whole world, one of the oldest cities in the world. And I guess the first thing I just want to ask you before we even get to it is, how old is Hebron? How old is Hebron? Does anybody know how old is Hebron? The answer is Hebron is actually 4,500 years old. 4,500 years old, 4,500 years. That's a really amazingly long time ago that it was created. And the Jewish people have been living there for 3,800 years. And I'm going to take you now to some pictures from Hebron, including this one. This is on the Arab part of Hebron. They put up this I Love Hebron. I took a picture with it as well. So that's really fun. Now, the word Hebron, maybe you know that gas station Chevron. It's like the same type of word. Actually, Chevron, if you would pronounce it in Hebrew, would be the way we pronounce it, which is Chevron. Chevron. All right. Chevron comes from the word chaver, which means friend or friendship. All right. And we have got a lot of friends there in Hebron. I want to make sure that you're seeing this. I want to make sure that you're seeing these beautiful soldiers that are being inducted, and they get inducted in Hebron because in Hebron stands a monument, which is right behind these soldiers, which is the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs. The tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs. What does that mean, patriarchs and matriarchs? It means that Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob and Leah, these three couples, and also according to the Kabbalah, even Adam and Eve, the founders of humanity, are buried in this place. And there's a building on top of it, which is a 2,000-year-old building built by King Herod, same guy who built the Kotel. You could recognize the Kotel type stones and the way it looks. It reminds you of the Kotel, but it's not the Kotel. It's actually south of Jerusalem, about an hour, and it's the same builder who built it, but it is a monument not for the temple like in Jerusalem, but rather for the tomb of the fathers and mothers in Hebron. So these are soldiers getting inducted there, and a few times a year, the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs gets dollied up, gets dressed up, and it shows its beautiful blue and white colors. Why do we have blue and white colors there? Because of Yom Ha'atzmaut and Yom HaZikaron, Israel Independence Day. And so we have these beautiful flags that go on the whole building, which is really, really fun to have it all dressed up. And it's also fun to be able to show it to you so kind of easily and well here. Let me make sure I'm showing it to you and that you could see it as best as possible. There it is, Marat Machpelah, the tomb of the fathers and mothers. And actually, I want you to learn to say this word, Ma'arat Machpelah, the tomb of Machpelah, which means the double tomb. All right, the double tomb is because there's really an old way of burial, which is an anteroom, and then there's a room inside. But the other people say that Machpelah means double cave because of the couples that are buried there. Now, those couples gave birth to the first Jewish family. And look at these children from first grade that come to the tomb of the fathers and mothers from all over Israel in order to receive their first Torah, their book of Bereishit. All right. Now, today, the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs, the Machpelah, is a complex in which there is a Muslim side and a Jewish side. And therefore, there's parts that you as Jewish people can't go into right now, except for 10 non-sequential days a year. 10 non-sequential days a year, we go into the tomb, and we go into a part of that's usually locked away from us. Here are women praying next to the tomb of Isaac, which is usually on the Muslim side. That's right. Well, it's not actually a tomb. It's more like a marker. And it's because the tombs are below the building, but inside the building are ancient markers from 2,000 years ago. Here are Jewish people of the Sephardic variety, of the Sephardic persuasion, that come on a special day when they do what's called slichot. It's a Sephardi tradition. Here's a different kind of Jew. These are ultra-Orthodox Jews that come in, and they've got a special day that they come in, and they, as you can see, pack it out, and it's important to them. This is my good friend, Rabbi Shlomo Katz. And he brings his community, and he's a great singer and a guitarist. And you can see what's the holiday that is being celebrated. Obviously, the holiday is the holiday of Sukkot. And the truth is that there's all kinds of people all over the world that are interested in the Marat Machpelah and the Tomb of the Fathers and Mothers. And as you can see, the folks that are here that I'm showing you in this picture, let me show it a little bit better. These are Chinese folks, Chinese Christians, actually. And these Chinese Christians, they're very excited. They're evangelical Christians. They believe also in the importance of what they would call the Old Testament, what we would call the Torah. And they come in droves, of course, not during the Corona season, sadly, but they have times that they really come to Hebron and pay homage to the forefathers and mothers. We do a lot to bring people down to Hebron. Now, Hebron is an ancient place. It has very important site, and the number 2 most important site for the Jewish people. But it also has had a fair share of terrorism and efforts to make the place look scary or feel scary. And so, therefore, we do a lot, including making big concerts to draw people to Hebron. And we make it a lot of fun there. Here you could see these are actually new olim, new immigrants, people who made aliyah, people who came, American Jews, who came to live in the land of Israel. Here I'm giving them a tour and showing them our 4D movie, and they're loving it. They're having a good time. All right, so as I was saying before, we have a lot of festivals that we make in order to bring people to Hebron, and certainly we would love to see you in Hebron. So next time you are planning to come visit the land of Israel, so we'd love for you to come and visit us. And really, it's the fathers and the mothers who are the kind of founders of our peoplehood, which it makes a lot of sense to give a little homage to them. And for a lot of people, it's like you hit the Western Wall, and maybe if you can, you go up to the Temple Mount as well. But if you can't do that, the Temple Mount is the holiest place for the Jewish people. You try to do those things, but a lot of people also make it a point to come to the Marat Machpelah, to the Tomb of the Fathers and Mothers, and connect there. Here's some more different kinds of Jews that are showing up. I just like this picture. It's these fun guys. At nighttime, we've got something called video mapping, which we sometimes turn on, and it really lights up the Marat Machpelah and makes it night friendly. Remember, summer times in Israel are very hot, and a lot of times you just don't want to tour around the day, so you turn around and you tour around in a warm night. So we try to make it fun as well. As I said before, we also have big concerts, big names come out to Hebron. Here's some more of the video mapping. Now inside, if you go inside, there are these 6. Let's learn a word together, shall we? There's a word that I think it would be worth it for us to learn. That word is cenotaph. Can you say the word cenotaph? Cenotaph means marker. Okay, it means to marker. Now, to marker, let me just look at the comments here, make sure everybody's doing good. New comments, all right. Not seeing any more. So to marker means that it's not the actual tombs. It's not the actual tombs that are inside the building. The building that I showed you before stands on top of the tombs. But inside, when Herod built it, he added these markers, these big like monoliths. You can see it behind the sign here. It's like a big marble marker. And this is where people focus their prayer when they come to Hebron. Now, Jewish people, we are very, very careful not to pray to that righteous person. Why? Because that would be idolatry. We are very, very much against idolatry. But what we are for is praying in the merit of a great righteous person, especially somebody like the founder of Abraham. So here you have the tomb marker, and we have these beautiful signs here. The sign says, Now, people who read Hebrew but don't always know what it means say to me, why does it say Tzion Avraham Avinu, as though Abraham's name was Tzion Abraham? No, it's the word Tziyun, which means marker. The marker of Abraham, our forefather, the tomb monument of the forefather of the patriarch Abraham. All right, let's keep going. The same goes for the tomb monument of the matriarch Sarah, who is right across. And one of the most important things, if I could share with you just one thought about the Marat Machpelah, the tomb of the fathers and mothers, is that it is indeed the tomb of fathers and mothers together. This is not like, let's say, Mount Rushmore in America, where you have 4 American presidents, and they're all men. Here at the Marat Machpelah, the tomb of the fathers and mothers, you actually have mothers and fathers right across from one another, in totally the same size, in total equality, and that is why we celebrate Jewish women just as much as we do Jewish men. Together, these couples came together to make a family and then give birth to a nation. So that is probably one of the most beautiful things about Marat Machpelah, is that 3,800 years ago already, when Abraham buried Sarah there, he made sure to bury her in total equality and understand that the men and the women at this place of couples are the heroes that brought together, that made this family come to be. So very important kind of consciousness about what the Marat Machpelah really is, as opposed to other places in this world. All right, here I am. This is me with shorter hair right now during this period. You're not supposed to kind of cut your hair after Pesach all the way till today. So today you could get a haircut, Lag BaOmer. But here I am with shorter hair at the Tziyun of Rivka Imenu, the matriarch Rebecca, whose marker is on the other side, on the Muslim side usually. Here's a person praying at the tomb, and the marker, and you could see behind this, within this little room, is this kind of marker, and it's covered with a Muslim tarp. And the reason it's covered with a Muslim tarp is because the Muslim Waqf, the religious authority, is in charge of parts of this building, including these rooms. All right. Here's what it used to look like without the English signs. So this is Abraham. As I was saying to you before, a lot of people end up coming to the place and gathering for various reasons. And here's what it looks like kind of from the side. More examples of mass events. Now, there is a mass event that's very special, and that is once a year we have a Shabbat. We have a very special Shabbat, and that Shabbat is called Shabbat Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah. Now, you know that during Shabbat, we read the Torah portion, and we read that Torah portion sequentially, from beginning the book of Genesis to the end of the book of Deuteronomy of Dvarim. We read it every Shabbat. And one Shabbat, which is a little bit after Sukkot, is the one that tells the story of the purchase. You see, the Bible, the Torah, actually lays out the story of Abraham's purchase of Marat Machpelah from the Hittites, and it's a fascinating section. I think it's chapter 23 of the book of Genesis, of the book of Bereishit, Perek Chav Gimel, and the point of it is that the Jewish people have ownership of this place by purchase. Yes, God promised it according to the Bible, but we also purchased it. And it's the first real estate deal of the Jewish people in the land of Israel. First place that Abraham actually bought. So on that Shabbat, we have about 20,000 people come for Shabbat to our little town, our ancient, beautiful, but also somewhat embattled town. 20,000 people come to this place, including 1/10 of the Knesset of Israeli parliamentarians show up in this place. And you can as well. So what I'm showing you in this picture is Chabad. The folks at Chabad put out a huge tent in order to feed a ton of people at Marat Machpelah. So that's really cool. And we feed just tons and tons of people at the Tomb of the Patriarchs. Here's actually a picture of a picture. This is a picture that the army shot. They shot it Friday night, which is unusual for us to have a picture of something Friday night. But this picture was indeed shot Friday night by the army, and you could see the thousands and thousands of people that gather You could also see that behind behind the tomb, there's a lot of buildings, and that's really a mostly Arab section of town, right? So there's a Jewish section of town, but there's a far larger Arab section of town. I would say that the Jewish section is kind of a small island within what today has become an Arab city. The Jewish people have been at times an ethnic majority in Hebron. Today, we're an ethnic minority, but we continue to exist and live there. All right. We also have a lot of soldiers that come in to serve, but also to learn about Hebron. This is a picture that I shot of one of our female guards, and she's sitting on a special chair. This is a chair that's used for a Brit Milah, for a circumcision ceremony. It's like it's called Elijah's chair. You could see the Star of David behind her there, right next to her head. Here's some more of the soldiers that, in this case, are either guarding or just coming to visit and tour at the tomb of the fathers and mothers, because when you teach people about the importance of this place, then they come in and they understand what we're fighting for. They understand our history, because one of the things, my friends, that's so important to understand is that today there is a war to try to erase Jewish history, and sometimes even international bodies like UNESCO seek to erase our presence in Hebron by saying that this is actually this building, which was built by a Jewish king 2,000 years ago upon tombs that are 3,800 years old. Still, UNESCO came to the weird conclusion that this is a Palestinian national heritage site. Well, we claim that that's an effort to try to erase our identity, what I call national identity theft. And so when we tour our soldiers in Hebron, we give them a lot of strength to realize what we're fighting for, what the real story is. All right, let's keep going with our pictures. These are actually volunteers from Sarel. You know, you don't have to be a young person to be in the Israeli army. People from all over the world, Jews and non-Jews at different ages, come and volunteer for the IDF. It's a very successful program, and I had the pleasure of touring them. All right, young people come a lot of times to get their first book of Bereishit, book of Genesis, or just to learn something about Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, or Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah, their stories. What better place to learn the stories of the fathers and mothers than right by their side? Here's actually one of my son's grades coming in, as I was telling you, receiving the book of Bereishit. And this is a very special picture because the fathers are blessing the children in the traditional blessing, and above them is the tomb of the fathers and mothers, which kind of sends their blessing. And so what you're seeing here is really a connection throughout the generations. All right, this is that room that I was telling you about that's usually closed off. This is Ulam Yitzchak, and sometimes we have, in the 10 days that it's open, the Isaac Hall, you have very early prayer with music. It's called musical Hallel, so people come in for that. We also have a day where just French people. It is a day dedicated to French Jews, and French Jews come in and they just go nuts, and they're very patriotic, very excited about Israel. So they come in and they come to Hebron, and they come with their flags en masse, and it's a very special day just for the French Jews, and we should have one for American Jews as well. Now, this is a very funny picture. The reason it's funny is because it's kind of, you've heard maybe that there's a Talmudic saying that the Messiah is going to come on a white donkey. Well, this soldier was playing around with some of the Hebron Jewish kids, and there's his M16, but he's riding a white donkey, and the kid on the right, I think, thinks he's going to get in trouble for this picture, but they're having fun and playing around. And we have a great relationship with the soldiers, between the soldiers and the community. All right, here's some soldiers also blowing the shofar, because this is something that happens especially during the month of Elul in preparations for the high holidays for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. This is a famous broadcaster from Fox News. His name is Pete Hegseth, and he came to tour and to do a video with me. And he himself is a former U.S. soldier, so he likes to come and hang out with other soldiers as well. Speaking of soldiers, we also have a robust Chabad operation, and what they do is that they help the Jewish soldiers in Hebron feel more Jewish, feel more connected, have a lot of pizza and barbecues and fun, and a feeling that they're not alone in their service, that they're having fun. And so here's one of the soldiers, and he's putting on tefillin in Jewish prayer. So that's kind of cool. Let's keep going. This is at the time she was the Minister of Justice, Ayelet Shaked, of the Yamina Party, and she's wearing Hebron at 50. What's it called? Fleece. Now the reason she's wearing that is because the Jewish people, we had been living there for about 3,000 years in Hebron, but in 1929 there was a horrific jihadist riot, an Arab riot, that ended up murdering 67 Jews, and the British, who were in charge, kicked us out in 1929, and we were out of the town. We were ethnically cleansed from the town from 1929 till 1967, which is the 6-Day War. So we came back in 1967. So when it was 2017, which was 50 years to the return of the Jewish people to Hebron, we made these fleeces, and she's wearing one of them. All right, this is also a Knesset member from the Likud, and he's coming and he's greeting. His name is Avram Neguse. He's an Ethiopian from the Likud, and he's a friend of mine, and he's coming to visit the Jewish community of Hebron. These are more Knesset members, people that you may not recognize. This is the former mayor of Jerusalem, Nir Barkat. He's a friend of the rights of Jewish people to live in Judea and Samaria, because that's part of the fight that we have, trying to establish those rights or making sure that other people know about them. He came in to talk about it. This man right here is somebody who American Jews should know. His name is Michael Oren. Michael Oren is a friend of mine, and also former ambassador of Israel to the United States, and has written many books, including about the 6-Day War and about Jewish and Christian cooperation in the effort to reconstitute Jewish presence in the land of Israel. And his latest book, which is called Ally, which is about the Obama administration, where he served as Israel's ambassador to the United States. Very, very interesting book. And he's also a person who came in and visited with me. All right. This is, of course, Prime Minister Netanyahu. He came in recently to recall the 1929 massacre. And I got a chance. He asked me to take a selfie with him, so I obliged. Just joking. It was more like I asked him to take a selfie with me, and he obliged. But in any case, Prime Minister Netanyahu has visited twice in recent months. All right, here he is with his wife, Sarah, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he's standing exactly where there's an area in Hebron, which is called the seventh step. And this seventh step is basically a place outside of the Tomb of the Fathers and Mothers on the east side, where Jews were allowed to stand, basically up to where the Jews were allowed to stand for 700 years. From the year 1267 to 1967, Jews were not allowed in the building because of a decree by the Muslim controllers who came in, invaded, took over the area, and subjugated us, relegated us to second-class status. And so we were really not allowed into our own building. Here he is commemorating this place, the seventh step. And recently when he came in, he went into the tomb itself, kind of showing that the Jewish people are back, and we're indeed going to be praying and worshiping inside of our old ancient history. This is Ben Shapiro. I don't know if you guys are fans of him or not. Doesn't matter. He's a public personality, and he came in with me and hung out, and here he is praying along with other Jews. All right, there's Ben, and he's, I think, doing great work in many ways. And in any case, he had a great time with his family. Here's Nir Barkat again. This is actually an important picture. This shows that there's international leaders. These are MPs, members of parliament from around the world who came in with the Allies Caucus in order to show their commitment to Jewish rights in places like Hebron. And they're being toured on the right side by Oded Revivi, who's the mayor of the town of Efrat, and a very important town in Judea. And he's touring them. Now look behind them, and you'll see how giant these stones are. Some of these stones weigh 400 tons. 400 tons. That's a lot. But they're over there. Oh, look, I'm not showing it to you in full. Let me show it to you in full. Look at the stones here, and you'll see it. 400-ton stones. and also these non-Jewish members of parliament from around the world coming to strengthen our presence. Whenever we think about Hebron, we really have to think about the fact that these are our mothers and fathers, and that we're their children. And there's something just so plain and so beautiful about that. And here you see young ladies who are congregating under this olive tree for shade. But in fact, they are the children of the people buried up there to the left. We have other important places in Hebron. I've been showing you mostly about the tomb of the fathers and mothers, but there's also a synagogue called the Avram Avinu Synagogue, which was built in 1540 by Jews who were exiled from Spain in 1492 and made it to Hebron. About 1,000 Jews, and in 1540, 500 years ago, they built this beautiful synagogue. We have a lot of proof of Jewish life in Hebron from 2,000 years ago, including this whole industrial area that includes mikvaot, ritual baths. Back then, when you made a piece of pottery, you better have been dunked first because you wanted to make something in what's called ritual purity, which means that it was ready. You were so pure that piece of pottery or porcelain was going to be able to be used in the temple, and that needed a level of purity. We're coming up right now to the holiday of Shavuot. Now, in Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks, or Pentecost, they sometimes call it in English, but we call it Shavuot, of course. That's the biblical name of it. We counted 49 days from the second day of Passover. And on Shavuot, one of the things that we do is we read the book of Ruth. Now, Ruth is the great-grandmother of King David, the grandmother of Yishai, that's my name, and then the great-grandmother of King David. She and Yishai, the father of David, are buried in Hebron, and there's an ancient site there which you can come visit, which is separate than the tomb of the fathers and mothers that we talked about. All right, ancient synagogues. Lots of ancient stuff is found in Hebron. One of the most important things is that we found 5 of these seals. These seals are written in Hebrew. It's like a seal that you put on a cup or a document, and it says, "To the king, Hebron, the king of Israel," in this case, Hezekiah, about 2,900 years ago, 2,700 years ago, this particular seal, but we found other ones as well. And this seal from 2,700 years ago is written in which language do you think? In which ancient language? Well, the answer is the language is Hebrew. All right. So we, the Jewish people, have been in Hebron. Here's a piece of proof that we're there 2,700 years ago under King Hezekiah. That's pretty cool. That is really, really cool to be able to find stuff like that. We found 5 of these seals in Hebron. And that really is one of our proofs. And again, it's in Hebrew that we were there at least 2,700 years ago and even beforehand. This is just an artsy picture I took. There is a big city in Hebron, but it's also a very ancient land. And you can see some of the ancient olive trees and grapes. That's what the land grows. Just like the Bible says that the land of Judea, and Hebron is the capital of Judea, is fruitful and has grapes and olives. So too, you can see that today. Obviously, we are great lovers of the state of Israel, and all kinds of folks come around. All kinds of books are getting put out. I love Hebron at night, and I highly recommend that you come visit at night. This is my good friend Alex. He had his son's bar mitzvah in that synagogue I was telling you about. I like to take a lot of portraits of the place. I also want to tell you that we have a relationship with our Arab neighbors. Some people will tell you that Jews and Arabs don't get along in Hebron, and there is some truth to that because some of the Arabs in our neighborhood have succumbed to ideology known as jihad, but that is far from everybody. Here's a picture that I took. Actually, no, I didn't take it. There I am on the right side with a hat, I took other pictures like this, but this is us, the Jewish community in Hebron, sitting together at an iftar meal. That's a post-Ramadan meal with members of the Arab community that actually catered it kosher so that we could spend time with them at this Ramadan meal. And this is a sheikh, an important sheikh named Sheikh Ashraf Jabri of the Jabri clan. And they are very friendly to the Jewish people and would like to see us be more of a player, more sovereign in Hebron as opposed to the Palestinian Authority, which they don't like. All right. Throughout the country, you will see signs like this that say this way to the Machpelah. I think I was coming from the beach when I stopped to take this shot, so I was a little wet. Here's Marat Machpelah, and it's signs all over the country. And maybe towards the end here, this is a picture of my daughter's bat mitzvah, And during my daughter's bat mitzvah, I basically turned to the Arabs that I'm friendly with, and I said, can you fire off some fireworks? Because I'm having a hard time with the Jews to get them to fire off fireworks for the bat mitzvah. And they did an amazing job with fireworks that went over the bat mitzvah. Here's Arab kids walking in Hebron, and they are waving to one of the Israeli soldiers that keeps the place secure. We are trying very hard to have normalized relations with our neighbors. As you could see during Hanukkah, we put up a Chanukiah, like a menorah on top of the Marat Machpelah. There it is again towards nighttime. I think I really got excited about this Chanukiah, so you could see it here again. All right, this is a short movie of the, we're not going to play it now, but of the fireworks that went off. And we have weddings. We have a lot of weddings in Hebron. The reason we have weddings, I see that I'm running low on time, so I'll start to wrap it up. But I just want to show you that we have wonderful weddings in Hebron. These weddings are part of something so natural, so normal. What could be more beautiful than people wanting to get married with their parents? That is the mothers and fathers of the Jewish people in Hebron. Let's finish up here. All right, all kinds of folks come and tour Hebron, including Aish brought busloads of women. And this is a picture that I wanted to show you. We just had a whole bunch of bikers that came in. These are the Riders of Zion. The Riders of Zion came in to Hebron, and they are an awesome group of 1 second. Yeah, they're an awesome group of folks that travel throughout the country. So, you know, if they're able to come visit Hebron, you should as well. Don't be afraid of anything. And I mean, the only thing you should be afraid of is missing the opportunity to connect to Hebron, which is really one of the more beautiful sites in Israel, an ancient site. I want you to check out hebronfund.org. That's a great place to get a lot more information about Hebron. Hebronfund.org is a great repository of information, and also a way to connect to Hebron in various ways. And if you're on Facebook, check out facebook.com/Hebron official. That's a great way to learn more about it. So once again, we got Hebron Fund, which is a useful site for you, and Hebron Official on Facebook. Connect to us. We're putting stuff up every single day to help you learn more about it. And if you want to know my name again, my name is Rabbi Yishai Fleisher, and you can connect to me very easily through YishaiFleisher.com or anything at Yishai Fleisher, especially Twitter, where I'm firing stuff every day and kind of, you know, battling for Israel's rights and for Israel's truth. So HebronFund.org, Facebook.com/Hebron Official, and myself, Rabbi Yishai Fleisher. And I'm always looking forward to staying in touch with you. So please write me an email and keep connecting and be part of this great story of the Jewish people in the land of Israel, coming back, making it strong again, making it beautiful. So from Lag BaOmer in the land of Israel, I wish you lots of love, lots of light, and come see us soon, and keep being strong. Know your history. Be in love with it, because Israel is incredible. It's awesome, and you're a part of it wherever you are. Shalom, and thank you so much.